Congratulations, Rishit. You have got a rank of 104 in CLAT this year and you performed really well. So, how are you feeling at this moment of time?
Well, if I'm being very honest with you, I'm feeling amazing. The last couple of days have been a blast. Ghar pe, everybody's been congratulating me, friends, family, people who I haven't met in 3 years, they have been texting me. It honestly feels amazing.
Great, Rishit. That feels good to hear. So, Rishit, you were enrolled in the Career Launcher LST classroom program. What made you go for it?
So, if I'm being very honest, my plan earlier was to study international relations somewhere in Europe. But around the month of June, this became a little skeptical because my interests changed. I had an incline towards law, so I approached my school career counselor, and that's when she told me to get myself enrolled in a CLAT coaching. Now, she had given me a couple of options, for example, Career Launcher, Legal Edge, and LPT, and she said you can like enroll in any one of these according to your preference. So that's when I came back home, I googled all these centers. I googled the results they had given in the previous years, and that's where I found Career Launcher. That they had provided very promising results. I mean, Air one, Air two, three, four, five, six, almost everything, almost every year. So this really inclined me to join Career Launcher.
Okay, Rishit. I'm glad that to this time you are also a part of those amazing results actually. So, Rishit, how did you find your journey? Could you describe it with the title of a movie?
I'm afraid I can't think of anyone right now. But let's just say my journey was filled with a lot of highs and lows.
Okay.
So, funny thing, my first mock I scored in like somewhere around 60s. That is not a great score. And I had enrolled myself somewhere around June, July. But again, I was like 90% of students. I used to show up for class, go back home, never open any notes, nothing. And just come for one mock once a week. But again, this never really helped. Towards the month of August, that's when I realized that, oh my god, I'm sitting for CLAT. That's when I decided अब मेरे को पढ़ना है. So I used to show up for every class on time. I used to give 2 to 3 mocks a week. I used to sit and I used to analyze each one of them. And this really made a difference. And over a period of 2 to 3 months, my mock scores went from 60s to an average of hundreds. So, and all my teachers, for example, there were a lot of controversial questions in a lot of our mocks. And let's just say there was a flood of messages in our WhatsApp group. But our teachers really took the time and they explained it really well to each one of us. And I understood that this question is not wrong. I'm the one making the mistake. So I learned the reasoning behind all my answers.
Definitely, Rashid. So you could not name a movie, but I think I can give you suggest you a name. So I think I'd like to call it Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. If that's not wrong. Okay. So what are the few things which stood out at the center for you, Rishit? Whether it was the faculty, whether it was the test, or whether it was something helped you build an environment of getting into it and working hard.
So a lot of things did stand out, but amongst those, I think the most was the faculty itself. Because our classrooms, we used to have about 40 people in each classroom, and the teachers, they were really interactive, and they made each one of us feel like we're at home. I'm not going to name anyone, but they individually like they had funny personal jokes with each student, and it really made me feel involved in class, and it helped me understand each one of the concepts much better.
Okay. Rishit, that makes a lot of sense. So, Rishit, now the next question which I want to ask you because you were really grateful about those tests and you gave me a lot of feedback also. So, we started something called the Friday test where we used to test you on AR, vocabulary, static GK, legal GK, and current affairs also. And this year, surprisingly, call it a coincidence, but there was a lot of analytical reasoning and legal GK in the paper as well as vocabulary. So, how do you think the tests helped you, and do you think that is an initiative which should go on in the years to come?
So, if I'm being very honest with you, I think around the first week when the test began, I thought AR, analytical reasoning, or legal GKR. I mean, how important will this really be for my CLAT prep? But that's when I realized there is no guarantee that the paper will come as the same pattern as it has come before, right? If you see the last 3 years, there is not a fixed pattern. There are always surprises thrown at us every year. So you have to be prepared for every possible case. And these Friday tests, I mean, all the leaders in each one of the quizzes, they used to be assigned points and there was an overall leaderboard, right? That competitive spirit really pushed me to work harder. And I really did look forward to my Fridays. And call it a coincidence, but I mean, AR, legal GK, and vocabulary was a majority of our real CLAT people.
Definitely, Rishit. So, Rishit, I just want to ask you few more things. So, the first thing which I want to ask you, so you are obviously happy about the result, but your parents are also a very important and crucial part of your
Correct.
prep. We can't forget the contributions they have made to your prep. So, can you just give a shout out to your parents and tell how happy they are with respect to your rank?
My mom is extremely happy with my results. I mean, she's ecstatic on top of the world. And since I was a child, I've always been. My mom always told me that it was her dream that I studied at NLSIU Bangalore. And with the rank I've gotten, it seems pretty promising that I will go there. So everybody in my family is really happy. My mom, my mama, my mommy, my nani, my nanu. Everybody is just really happy.
Okay. So I think support from family is very important to succeed anywhere, not just in exams but in the future also. So I'm very happy that they have given you that kind of support which has helped you do well in your preparation. So Rishit, if I could just ask you, how much did the mock test help? I just want to understand, did the mock tests help you and how did they help you?
So I think the mock tests they had a wide variety of different questions. I mean, there was no fixed pattern as such. One of the mocks had, I mean, 2 ARs. One of them had different style of questions. There was no fixed pattern, and what this did was it exposed me to a lot of questions. I must have solved thousands of questions, and this prepared me for every possible case. And if I'm being very honest with you, I don't think that the questions which came in class this year were very conventional. I think they were something else. And career launcher mocks, they really helped me with that, especially the math section and the legal sections.
Definitely. So you're right. Actually, CLAT every year is very unpredictable, and just like every year, this year also they gave a very different paper. So I think they kind of test the level of nervousness as well as your performance pressure as well. They don't just test how hard you have worked. So the last thing which I want to ask you, Rishit, that's very important is what is your advice to the future CLAT takers, considering CLAT is an unpredictable exam and sometimes hard work alone is not enough. So can you tell me what you would suggest to them, how they should prepare and what they should look after and what are the stress points in this exam?
Okay, great question. So there is something called smart work and there is something called hard work. And trust me, having only one of these will not guarantee you success. You need to have both. Trust me, there are people who can work 15 hours a day, 16 hours a day, but just sitting in front of a book or reading something 10 times over will not guarantee you anything, right? I think I know a lot of people who have studied 14 hours, 16 hours, but their class did not go very well. But me personally, I used to study a maximum of 10 hours a day. But when I gave those 10 hours, that was my full. I saw every question, I analyzed it. If I gave a mock for 2 hours, I used to analyze it for another 1.5 hours. And studying with the right mindset really helps. I mean, don't just study for the sake of studying, study because you want to learn. From the beginning of my class journey, I never just studied because I thought I was compelled to. I always did it because I had a love for the subject. And for anyone who is entering the field of law, I think that's the most important. What should be driving you is your love for the subject, your passion. And if you have that, then you're already 50% of the way there. On top of that, people say give 100 mocks, 150 mocks, 200 mocks. Yeah, blatantly writing mocks will not get you anywhere. But learning from your mistakes in each of those mocks after it's over, that really will. If you give a mock for 2 hours, I suggest sit with it for 3 hours after it. Look at the mistakes you've made. Find questions which are similar to those and just repeat those until you get a hang of it. Me personally, we used to have these things called assumption-based questions in ALET. So I used to be really bad in those. Out of 10 initially, I used to get like 6 or 7 wrong. But then I start with I when you see a question, there are four options, right? I give a reasoning for each one of the options. I understood where my flaws are, not in my answer, but in my reasoning. And understanding that really changed everything. Not only CLAT, I also studied for, I used sources such as the GMAT, CR, everything. And studying from diverse sources like these, it really helped me get my understanding to a great level. And that overall really contributed a lot to my CLAT prep.
Definitely. So, Rishit, I think you have highlighted two very important things which I kind of resonated throughout the year. The first is that there should be effective learning. You should not just sit in front of the book and not study anything. If you study for 4 hours but it is effective without using a phone, I think that's better. And the second thing which you highlighted, which I think is a very pivotal point, is that you need to analyze your mistakes and you need to understand where you are going wrong, and you need to ensure that you don't repeat the same mistakes again and again. So thank you so much for these insights, Rishit. I'm sure the students will get a lot of help from you. And thank you so much again for being a part of Career Launcher. We are very happy to have a gem like you. Thank you, Rishit.
Thank you,
Thanks a
sir.
lot.